we were talking about discipline, right? And I think part of the discipline and that self-respect that we were talking about before, a lot of it has to do with your word.
Yep.
And we talked about that, I think last week or the week before. We were kind of getting into that, like that thing when you say you're going to do something, you do it. You know, you were asking me like, where did I get that? And I was telling you that maybe the military or playing sports or something like that, right?
But when you are not your word.
Yes.
Say you tell someone that you're going to do something or that you're going to call them back at a certain time or whatever it may be.
Right.
And you don't keep your word. How does that make you feel?
Like shit.
And if that continues to happen over and over again, what do you think the thoughts that are going to come in? What are those thoughts going to tell you?
Yeah. Yeah, you start getting negative thoughts about yourself.
Right.
That you don't keep your word.
And not only that, if you don't keep your word to yourself,
yeah,
how does that make you feel?
Right. That's something. So in this book, The Ultimate Coach, there's a part in the book, and it's a very big part where they talk about being your word. And there's a story where this guy, Steve Hardison, is going to coaching event. At the end of the event, they tell everybody, make sure you guys grab a book. But the books are free. And they're like, make sure everybody grabs a book. But he's like, only make sure that you take a book if you're going to read it.
Right.
You know? And that makes sense. I mean, you're giving away free books. Only take the book if you're actually going to read it. So a little bit later, the Steve Hardison, the guy that's running the event, this lady walks up to him, and she's an author. She has her book, and they start talking or whatever, and she mentioned that she had a book. I can't remember exactly how it went, but pretty much she jokes with him like, hey, only take, like she offers him a copy, and he goes to take it, and she's like, hey, only take my book if you're going to read it.
Right. And he
said, I am my word.
That's right.
I will read your book.
That's powerful. I am my word.
There's another thing that they were talking about, commitments. And one thing that he said is commitments are access to freedom and power. Commitments are access to freedom and power. When you commit to something and follow through with it over and over, it's access to freedom and power. And I was like, that is exactly the same as discipline equals freedom.
Right. Because imagine if you lived your life that way. Imagine if we all lived to be our word and lived for commitment.
Yeah.
You know how many marriages would be saved?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you truly lived it, walked it, breathed it, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there'd be many people that would be overweight.
Yeah.
If you committed to being healthy.
And that's another thing, because like you were talking about earlier, I'm sorry, did you mean?
Go ahead.
The weight thing, that's a commitment that we make with ourselves.
Right.
There's a lot of things that I think the things that kind of beat us down, maybe for me, because I'm not somebody who commits to a lot of stuff unless I know that I'm going to do it. Like if I tell you I'm going to be there, you don't have to ask me about it too many times. I'm going to be there. You know, like you could tell me 2 months from now, like, hey, I got something going on. And if I said that I would be there, then I'll be there. If it was a maybe, then it's a maybe.
Right.
But I'm speaking that out loud to somebody else. And I'm telling them that I will be there. And I'm also letting somebody else down when I'm not there. So sometimes it seems like it's easier to keep the commitments that you make to other people. Maybe it's because you're saying it out loud. Maybe it's because it's with another person, because the commitments a lot of times that we make with ourselves are not out loud. They're just in here. And then you think about it and you don't, and then it goes away, and then you let yourself down. But it seems like it's just so much easier to let yourself down, even if you do have that.
Yeah.
Because like for me, I feel like there are some people that you think are like just flaky. Like, oh yeah, so and so said they were gonna do that. They're not gonna do shit. I don't consider myself to be one of those people, but maybe I am that way to myself. You know what I mean? Like if I make a commitment to myself, how many times have I told myself you're going to get up and go do something, and the fucking snooze hits? But if I told somebody else, I'll meet you at fucking 4:00 in the morning at your house, I will be up at 3:30 and at your house at 4.